Hi class, in this brief video I just want to give you an overview of what our course is all about. So first I want to look at our course title, Professional and Technical Writing. The first word, professional, primarily means that we're looking at types of writing that occur in the workplace. We're looking at memos, at emails, at instruction sets, at recommendation reports, at proposals. These are all different types of writing that are primarily used in order to further the goals of an organization or company. Or, in some cases, like resumes and cover letters, might be used in order to further your own career goals. The second word, technical, might seem like it's really referring to something like technology or high technology, but it has more varied meanings than that. In fact, if we look at Oxford Dictionary, we can see that technical means relating to a particular subject, art, craft, or its techniques, or requiring a special knowledge in order to be understood. If we think about technical in this latter sense, what we really mean in this course is that it is communicating often something that you have a deeper or more specialized knowledge of to an audience that may not have that specialized knowledge. It's often communicating from more knowledge to less knowledge and finding ways to do that effectively. Finally, writing. Writing seems to be the most straightforward and obvious of these three terms probably, and we would probably think of something like a book or a essay for school as forms of writing. However, we also mean something much more varied in this course. As we'll see towards the end of this presentation, at the end of this video, we're going to be talking about writing in forms of anything that is a form of communication that is more permanent. So we're not going to be talking directly about oral communication, but we can include things like recorded oral communication, such as this video, as a form of writing. We can also look at pictures, at the ways that these different things interplay in our course. So the next thing that I really want to think about in terms of technical writing is what does it take to make effective technical writing, and what does it take to really think through technical writing? So to begin with, you're going to need to be thinking about three different things. You're going to need to be thinking about the audience. Who are they? What do they already know about the topic? How are they going to be best reached? What forms of communication do they find most accessible? What do they usually read, and how do they interact with those things? The more you know your audience, the more you can tailor your message and your delivery to that audience. Next, you really need to think about what your goal is in that communication. You need to think about what you want to achieve with that communication. Do you want to have somebody buy something? Do you want to change their mind on something? Do you want to just give them bad news but not make them terribly unhappy about that bad news? You really need to think about what your goals are in order to achieve those goals in that communication. Finally, you also need to think about how that document that you're creating is typically used. Do people read it linearly? Do they skip through it? Do they really rely on effective document design in order to find different information, etc., etc.? So the more that you know about how people create effective documents, the more you're going to be able to meet your own goals and the goals of your audience. The next thing that I kind of want to skip over to is what our textbook talks about as the 6 main characteristics of technical communication. They say these are that addresses particular readers, that solves problems, that reflects organization goals, that's produced collaboratively, that it uses design to increase readability, and that it consists of both images, words, or both of them. You can actually find a very nice, You can find a very nice breakdown of this in our textbook on a page that says Thinking Visually, Characteristics of a Technical Document, and then explains each of them in a little bit more detail. One that I do want to focus on here very briefly is that's produced collaboratively. As we think about writing in the professional workplace, we really do need to focus on the collaborative nature of it. Rarely does anyone have the expertise and the resources, the time, etc., in order to be able to produce an entire long document by themselves. So it's important that you become familiar with ways to create documents within teams, that you become comfortable with different strategies for mitigating issues with teamwork, etc. And that's a large part of the reason why this course is designed in the collaborative way that it is. So do take a moment, take a look over this page once you get to it in your textbook. It's a very useful page and can help you think through a lot of this. Next, is the 8 measures of excellence for technical documents. Now this is actually going to play a part in our first quiz, so when you take the quiz, do pay attention to this page. The 8 measures are honesty, clarity, accuracy, comprehensiveness, accessibility, conciseness, professional appearance, and correctness. Again, you can find a nicely formatted version of all of this in your textbook on another Thinking Visually page. And it's important to think about all of these different things as you are creating a technical document, because they all do play an important role in how people are going to interact with that document, how they're going to be able to use it, how they're going to be able to reuse it as they go forward. So think through all these things, pay attention to them. It's going to act as a good foundation in terms of moving forward and thinking about what's going to make your writing effective in this type of situation. So I just want to close up with a few more thoughts about how writing affects your career and also on what writing actually looks like in these situations. So the most important thing to think about here is that this course could be very valuable to you in terms of improving your writing and also in terms of just helping you think through some of these different aspects of writing. A lot of what we cover in the course is knowledge that you might already have or things that you might have already been thinking about, but part of our goal is to make this more present, make it more conscious, and give you a little bit of practice in a range of different areas so that you're more ready to adapt your skills and your current abilities to these different areas. And one of the things that you really need to focus on is that companies are very interested in your communication skills. They might be interested in your technical knowledge and the different areas that you get your degrees, but if you cannot communicate that effectively, you're not going to be effective in a professional workplace. So I want to close just by looking at a few different examples from the textbook of what technical communication can look like. One of the things that we're seeing is that technical communication nowadays involves a lot less direct writing and a lot more different types of visuals and different ways of communicating information so that people can see it and understand it effectively. The first example they have is this video from the Department of Energy, which tries to show how different energy is flowing through this and how different things are cooling it and recycling it, etc. But this video itself is a form of technical communication. It's communicating this in a way that might be more accessible to a broader audience. It's using visuals to help people understand it and see it more actively to help reinforce their knowledge. And then it's even using some written subtitles in order to help people who might not be able to hear it or who might need that type of reinforcement in order to better understand it. Likewise, we can find another example of technical communication in the form of different blog posts. So you might see a blog post and then even the different types of comments that are responding to it as technical communication, as people talking about a technical subject and communicating effectively to different people. And we can even talk about how you could create comments that are going to be effective and clear to the particular audience that you're trying to write to. Similarly, just images that are largely visual can sometimes communicate technical information fairly effectively. So in this case, this is just showing the differences between an email collaboration and a wiki collaboration. And just glancing at this image, we can see that this is a far less complex system than this one is. And that's what's being generally suggested by this by these images, that the wiki system might help people collaborate and communicate more effectively. So as we continue going through this course, we're going to be looking at a lot of other forms of technical communication and think about how you can communicate these different things effectively to the audience and for the purpose that you're going for. So I hope that gives you a brief understanding of what the course is all about. Please do take a look at Chapter 1 of your Markle textbook for more information, and you're welcome to post different questions or to talk about it, and we can kind of go into this in more detail as the week continues. So I'll see you on the discussion boards, and I hope to hear from you throughout the week.